Hello, Protectors of the Wood fans. Thanks for following us, and thanks for listening to our podcast. We now have a Patreon page called Protectors of the Wood. We have 3 tiers that offer exclusive material and behind-the-scenes makings of our podcast and feature film. The first tier, Dreamstone Warriors, is $1. In this tier, you will receive a free copy of our first film that we made, Phoebe Comes Home, music, and digital illustrations of characters as phone and desktop wallpaper. By joining our second tier, you will get everything in Tier 1 also. The second tier is called Students Against Fossil Fuels, which is $5. You will receive PSD files of the characters and speed drawings. When you join third tier, you will receive everything in Tier 1 and Tier 2. The third tier, Starlight on Earth, which is $10, you will receive behind-the-scenes footage of the making of our upcoming film, Phoebe Comes Home. And you will also receive live streams of music performances and footage of the making of our new album, Nature Lives Here. From all of us at Protectors of the Wood, thank you again for following us. Bye.
The Protectors of the Wood Adventure Series. Join our story of misfit teenagers as they struggle to save the world from climate change. Remember that everyone can make a difference and every action counts. Support us on Patreon at Protectors of the Wood. This is the final episode of Part 2 of our series. Part 3 begins next week and is called The Ghost Girl. Episode number 82. The Junior Protectors of the Wood comes into being. Jeremy, George, and Phoebe sat close together in the gas station office as the clock approached 1 o'clock in the morning. Phoebe and Jeremy had promised George the answers to all his questions. Every secret would be told that very night. But Phoebe still wasn't sure.
George knows almost everything already. Only one part is missing. And how's he going to deal with Abby if he doesn't know it? Perhaps you feel guilty about promises you made, but believe me, it's more dangerous for George not to know.
George was watching them speak with complete fascination as his fate swung in the balance. Phoebe nodded.
Okay. George, look. This is the deepest, most dangerous secret that's ever been mine to tell. And I don't even know all of it. We must promise never to mention this, except at our most private meetings. That means we must never, really never mention it, except when we're together and agree we're safe. Promise? Put in your hands.
They gripped their hands together.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. We promise. Okay, here's what you don't know in a nutshell. The Protectors of the Wood, the conservation foundation that my parents belong to, is not only what it seems. It really does include an old man in the forest who no one ever sees. And the famous Wendy is his daughter, and Chi-Chi is his son. And there are many others involved who live in the forest and the wetland. They carry on a tradition of being guardians of Dreamstone over many, many generations. They are the ones who know its virtues and the underground caverns where it can be found. If you look into a big enough piece of Dreamstone, you're likely to see a vision that will be important to you, like a message from a higher power. There really do seem to be powers as a part of nature, powers that care about us and help bring good into the world. That's what we're here to do. I've seen this myself, in dreams and in Dreamstone.
Nice. Keep it simple.
George stared wide-eyed at Phoebe.
That's... What can I say? That's more than I ever dared to hope for. I've got a ton of questions. But what about Abby? Where does she come in?
She's actually related to Wendy and the old man. She's in their family, a sort of niece. Wendy's her godmother. There's a lot of mystery about Abby. But one thing we do know, Abby did fly over the town. Or maybe a dream image of her did. We're not sure how it's done, but we're all going to have to cope with this over the coming time. That's one reason why Tuck was so persistent about warning us against talking to reporters and the need for great care.
She leaned toward George and raised her voice.
But the most crucial thing is this. Morphe already knows part of the secret. He's sure that Dreamstone was discovered somewhere around here years ago, and he's doing everything in his power to find it and control it. But he still hasn't found the hidden source. That's the big prize. The Holy Grail he's seeking as the foundation of his future wealth and power. And Morphe thinks he can find the source of Dreamstone through Abby. And that's why he's been hunting her with such fanatical persistence. Now, you probably wonder why Abby is reaching out to us and taking these risks. And I'm not sure I understand it either. But I do know that Abby feels she's been given a task of some kind, a mission to accomplish. She hoped that Tuck would let her live in the churchyard cottage and be the church gardener. And in this way, she could stay in Middletown and build a future. With us. Yes, with us. That's what she's aiming at. She trusts Reverend Tuck. Her only other option was to flee far away and give up her friends and the life she has found. She chose not to do that.
Phoebe paused for breath and then couldn't think of anything to say. George continued to stare. His mouth fell open, and then he stood up and flung his fist into the air over and over.
Yes, yes, yes!
George looked at Phoebe and Jeremy and around the room.
I don't know what to do with myself. This is so...
He began to pace around the room, and finally he raised his arms and declared, as if to the whole room, or maybe the whole universe,
This world is a place I want to live in. I was missing out. Don't you see? I'm not crazy. It's all true. But you aren't kidding me. Are you? You wouldn't do that. No, you wouldn't. Would you? George, you know me. This is what I discovered so far. Phoebe and I went into the forest together, and we met an old man. I'm a protector, or in training to be one. Phoebe knows everything she's saying, and you should look at it this way. Most of what we're saying would be around staring us in the face, even if we didn't hear about Dreamstone or the forest. People have always felt that they have spirits or angels to guide and protect them. We know life is full of strange things beyond count. We know we're here to bring good into the world. We know we love each other. So the main thing is this. Now that we know how wonderful life is, what are we going to do about it? Do you see, the more wonderful it is, the more we care, the happier we are, the greater our responsibility becomes. The dangers are real and terrible for all of us at every turn.
George was still standing, tears still wet on his face. Jeremy and Phoebe looked at each other and waited. Finally, George sat down and looked at them.
I see what you mean. I do see your point. What are we going to do about it? I know I'm a beginner at all of this, but can't we just be junior protectors of the wood?
A great idea. In a way, we already are. On the night we met in the toy store, we kind of decided. You and Jeremy and Abby and me, and Stephanie and Eddie too. They joined the night we met here in this room.
George nodded.
I just didn't see how important this was. But I do now. We've got a few things to explain to Stephanie and Eddie. That's our next step. I'm thinking the same thing.
We need them. We need them very badly.
He wiped his tears away.
So far, so good, Jeremy. But I'm still curious about one thing. What do you actually do as a protector? You spend a lot of time in the forest and never say a word about it.
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask that too.
Jeremy smiled.
I'll tell you. There's more going on than we ever guessed. Right now, it's too late for a long talk, but here's one example. Did you know that almost all the dwellings in the forest and the wetland are heated with compost or biogas made from compost? Did you ever wonder what those propane tanks are doing in the garden center van, the tow truck, Jim's Jeep, near his house, and this gas station, and even your house, Phoebe?
I just asked Penny about that 2 days ago. You guys paint them red. She said they're from the protectors of the wood and filled with biogas. But what's biogas?
I'm lost. Propane tanks on the Jeep and tow truck?
Jeremy smiled again.
I know you two pretty well. You don't like machines that much or care about how they work. I'm not criticizing. We're all specialists in different things. But I'm really interested in the tech world. So you've got to listen to me on this. Biogas is similar to fracked gas, but it's not a fossil fuel, and you don't get it from fracking. It comes from composting any organic material, food waste, wood chips, leaves, underwater. The people in the forest and wetlands don't use fossil fuels.
Really? Jeremy, you're serious?
How come we've never heard of this before? You guys can't take this in right now. You're too tired, and I am too. I'm just saying that there's a lot more to this than you know. I feel like a baby in a new world. I just can't go to sleep. Well, pretty soon now. But George, before we finish this amazing day, I've got to tell you one more thing. Our music was fantastic last night, and I knew you could do it. I didn't. Do you know now? I'm not sure. I'm not sure of anything. The last few weeks, I started to write something. Phoebe heard some of it. See what you think.
He grabbed a nearby guitar and sat back in their tight little group. He played a few notes that became a melody.
The sun is rising in the bright blue sky. The world, I know it comes alive, and I'm feeling like the time has arrived to be what I can be. It's like the universe is in my front door. To you it may be just a corner store, but I'm afraid to ask for more, 'cause it's a lot to me. It's a lot to me. It's a magic land, and we're all in it. Step right up and let's begin it. It's in the faces of the people that we see. That's all I could say right now. Someday we'll finish it. Go for it.
I love it.
Do you really think it will all work out? I sort of felt like everything ended today when the stores closed. Like, we lost it all.
We haven't lost it, except I'm losing it right now.
I understand. What a day. I'm just gonna curl up right here.
George leaned back on the couch and closed his eyes. Phoebe stood up. She kissed George on the cheek and hugged Jeremy.
Yeah, I think it's time to go. We all need some sleep.
I'll drive you home.
Thanks, but I want to walk home and settle my mind. It's been the biggest day of my life.
Yeah, and nice going. You were fantastic.
They hugged again and kissed on the cheek, and Phoebe was out the door. In a moment, she was walking under a swarm of bright stars. The moon was sinking behind her. It was a crystal clear night. She felt almost as if she were floating.
Through heaven and earth, a tree is growing. Around the world, a river flowing. We can travel by secret ways, like a shadow through our days. Follow me, come and see. We're climbing the world tree. As the ages have gone by, the abyss has grown so wide. are separate now. A journey no one knows how. Follow me, come and see. We're climbing the world tree. See how we come closer. You're on the pathway to the stars. Reach out your hand and touch the heavens. It's not far, it's not far. Follow me, come and see. We're climbing the world tree. Follow me, come and see. We're climbing the world tree. Follow me, come and see. We're climbing the world tree. We're climbing the world tree.
Thanks for listening to the Protectors of the Wood Adventure Series. Find all our projects on protectorsofthewood.com and support us on Patreon at Protectors of the Wood. And to all the eco warriors out there, remember that everyone can make a difference and every action counts.